Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Rob here with Hammer Halo Project, continuing the build of our DIY workshop. Today I'll be turning this blank slate wall beside me into this much needed tool wall, complete with a heavy duty, laminated and foldable workbench. Now, does everybody need a dedicated tool wall? Probably not. But if you do any kind of do-it-yourself projects, having a tool wall is really not a bad idea. Instead of throwing everything into toolboxes and constantly searching for the tools you use most, having a tool wall and a specific location for each particular tool will help keep your projects running super smooth. So whether you think you need one or not, let's get into building this one. I was going to wrap the tool wall in a hardwood, but too expensive, so I ended up going with Select Pine. Should work out just fine. I knew I wanted the workbench to be 36 inches off the ground. Once I marked out that location, I could then figure out the size of the tool wall, keeping in mind not to exceed my reach from the ground. To be able to reach everything without a ladder, the tool wall could only be a maximum of 4 feet high, and based off the width of my wall, 6 feet worked out perfectly. This also means I only have to buy one sheet of 3/4 inch plywood to build this wall. Starting off, I cut and assembled all the frame pieces so that a 4x6 sheet of plywood would fit perfectly into it. I used PL 400 adhesive and 2 1/4 brad nails to attach the frame to the wall. I plan on using some of the leftover feature wall as backing to screw the plywood to. And because tool walls can become super heavy once all the tools are added, I want to be sure and attach the backing to the wall studs everywhere I can. So here I'm using a stud finder to locate all the studs in the wall. I should also mention all the fasteners and tools I used in this video and all my videos are linked in the description below. Now that I have the backing secured to the wall with 3.5 inch screws, I can focus on cutting down the sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. But before I mount the plywood, I first have to put a finish stain on the pine border I installed earlier. I chose to tie in the burgundy color from the feature wall because, well, why not? I spend 90% of my time in the shop and I might as well make it as nice as I can. There is one plug that falls within the tool wall, so I will have to remove it and add an extension box to extend it out onto the tool wall plywood. I wanted all the mounting screws lined up evenly, so what I did was marked out the center of the plywood, and then with this 4-inch block I cut out of some scrap wood, I drilled a hole 2 inches in on both sides of the block. This way, I can line up the lines I marked on the plywood to get the exact spacing for all the mounting holes. Next, I marked and cut out the plug location on the plywood using a jigsaw. Now it was finally time to mount the finished plywood. This is 3/4 inch bonded aspen plywood. I chose it mostly because of how blonde the wood is, and with a clear finish applied, it should look amazing. I increased the mounting screw size to a number 12 by 1.5 inches. Now I just mount the box extension into the plywood and secure the plug to the wall. Now I won't bore you with watching me apply 4 coats of water-based semi-gloss finish to this plywood. So here's the final coat being applied. I did sand between all coats using 220 grit sandpaper. This is the laminated top I want to take, so I'm going to use that as my foldable worktop table. Foldable worktop table. How's that? Wonder what this thing weighs. Let's find out. Any guesses? I say 100 pounds. 140 pounds. That is a big chunk of wood. I hope those 3 hinges can hold it. With this slab of wood being 140 pounds, the last thing I want is for it to come crashing down onto me or, God forbid, somebody else. So I started by cutting a 2x6 to the exact length of the workbench, and here I'm securing it to the wall studs using number 10 3.5 inch screws. I'm using these 6-inch gate hinges to attach the bench top to the 2x6 on the wall. But first I'll have to install these temporary support brackets to carry the weight of the bench. So the idea is to lay it on those blocks, those temporary blocks, then lay underneath it, lift the hinges up and screw them in. The problem is, if it slips off those blocks and falls on my head, I'm done. The only one available to help me is my daughter, so I'm putting my life in her hands. I hope she understands the importance of her working out every day. Life and death.
I don't want to do it. So then how do you think I'm gonna hold it?
Okay.
That's really heavy.
No, this way. Okay, move this way. Flip it and take it. I gotta go that way.
Which way? This way? Why do you make the thing
Push your
so...
hand this way.
Where?
Yeah. Are you level there or past?
No, it's pretty much level.
Right there?
Well,
Okay.
there's like a sliver.
Okay, and then push this that way. And I'll give you some support. That one didn't fit. Okay, so my life is in your hands. Don't try this at home, folks. Okay, you want to push as hard as you
I'm
can that way?
literally using my leg, it's fine. My hip is stationed right here.
Okay. I feel confident.
Well, I'm standing here right now, right? Like it's not...
Yeah, hopefully. Well, as long as those other ones don't let loose, like the blocks that I got in.
Well, why would they?
Okay. You good?
I'm good.
Hang tough. Okay, I'm gonna just test those hinges. So if you could just help me one more time. What do I want you to do? I want you to...
Sit on it.
No. I'll hold it up, you remove that.
Okay.
Okay, now grab that side. Want to slowly let it down and see if it hangs.
Are
Watch
my fingers
Watch
going...
your toes. Get out of the way.
What do you mean?
Don't push on it. Just see
I'm not
if
pushing.
it hangs. See if it hangs. Most of the time it'll be up. I'm just wanting to make sure those hinges hold. And so far so good. Thanks for your help, by the way. I had no doubt things would be fine. What about you?
No.
Did you doubt yourself?
No.
That's good.
Yeah.
See all that working out every day? It's like paying off.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I want to mount this vise, but I want to make sure that it goes both ways. This way. So I went and picked up these 2-inch leg bolts and a washer for each one. First, I will pre-drill some holes. To finish this massive slab, I'm using spar urethane, which is really meant for outdoor applications, but it's what I have on hand, and therefore it's what I'm using. At least it'll be a super hard finish after 3 coats. I struggled for a long time trying to figure out the best solution for the legs to hold up this workbench. The only reason to fold it down would be when I need to bring my truck into the shop. Most of the time it would be in the upright position, so I didn't need anything too complex. I finally settled on using 2 4x4s with a half lap joint along with a 1/2-inch eye bolt and a ready rod nut. By drilling a 1/2-inch hole through the 4x4 and a 5/8-inch hole into the workbench, I could then pound the nut into the bench top for a really tight fit and then screw the eye bolt into it. For my purposes, this works perfect. And now just complete the exact same process on the other side. And that'll finish up the build of the removable legs. Again, using what I have on hand, I painted the legs with some black Tremclad paint. Now, of course, the shop wouldn't be complete without my dream car in it, or in my case, a picture of it. Well, I couldn't be happier with how this tool wall and workbench turned out. It's pretty much exactly the way I envisioned it. The next step is to build holders for all the tools that will hang on this wall, but that'll be for another video. It's been a long day, and you know what that means. Hope to see you all on the next one. Cheers.